Welcome to another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. I'm your host, Keandra Jones. This podcast educates, ignites inspiration, fosters encouragement, and paves the way for growth among small businesses and the overall Oak Cliff community. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Dallas Zoo, Home Care Network, Breakfast Brothers, and ServPro. Thank you for your support. Now, let's get into today's show. Today's episode is titled The State of the Arts in North Texas. We're here with Teresa Coleman Wash, who is a producer, playwright, racial equity and thought leader on bias and racism in the American theater. She is the founder of the Bishop Arts Theater Center. She holds an MA in Arts Management from Goucher College and a BS in Business Administration from Albany State University. Wash is a National Arts Strategies Fellow who studied at a Harvard Business School. She is the recipient of several awards, including Theater Communication Group's Peter Zeisler's Memorial Award for Artistic Integrity and Ingenuity, the National Guild for Community Arts Education's Milestone Award, and the Business Council for the Arts Obelisk Award in the category of Visionary Nonprofit Arts Leaders. Ms. Wash also earned several Irma P. Hall Awards, including the 2020 Irma P. Hall Theatrical Excellence Medal. That is a mouthful. Mrs. Wash is one of the most accomplished folks that we've had on this show. And so it is such an honor and a privilege to welcome Ms. Teresa Wash to our show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Keandra. Thank you so much. That means so much coming from you. I've watched you ebb and flow in Oak Cliff, and I'm a huge fan.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. You know, I got chills when I was reading your bio. Mm-hmm. I literally struggled to get through all of the things, and that's not even but a small portion of your accomplishments. I've watched you. You know what? I'm going to back up for a second. Do you know you were the first person that took me to New York?
Are you serious?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, my God. Our trip to New York was your first time?
That was my first time.
Wow. I remember that.
You were the first person. And I want to publicly say thank you because you exposed me to Broadway.
Yeah. That was a fun trip.
It was a fun
trip. I remember that.
It was a fun trip. You are the one, and I love it.
Wow,
I love
Keandra.
Broadway. You are the one. Because of you. Now, I was one of the first ones that just bought Lion King tickets the other day.
Okay.
Because there is something that you woke up that day in Keandra. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I remember that. I think didn't we see Fela on Broadway?
Yes.
It was a musical, and was it Denzel's?
Fences.
Yes, we saw Fences.
I had never seen anything like that, like with one actor.
Excellent.
You know, that was because of you. I remember standing out in the rain.
Yep.
And he came out because of you.
Yes.
Denzel Washington.
I don't think he came out because of me.
He totally did. Miss Wash is out there. And so Denzel Washington came out. And he was so kind.
He was very gracious.
And so
very gracious.
Yeah,
that was a fun trip.
Yeah. So thank you. That changed my whole life.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You're
welcome. Yeah.
So,
we got to plan another girls trip.
We need that. We need it. I'm ready whenever.
Yes,
I'm ready.
Okay.
So aside from all of the many accomplishments, who is Teresa Wash?
Oh, gosh. Well, I am Dury and George Coleman's middle daughter, and I'm really proud of that because my dad and mom actually marched, and my dad actually went to jail with Dr. King during the Civil Rights Movement, right?
Really?
So it's interesting. I love that question, Keandra, because I think a lot of what the work that I'm doing, particularly in racial equity, is a continuation of what my dad and mom did back in the Civil Rights Movement.
Really?
Yeah, through theater.
Yeah.
Through theater. You know, our summer camp just started today, and what I love about our summer camp experience is that there are students in that camp who are sitting next to people who don't look like them, right? So, yeah, I'm excited about everything that we've accomplished, and I'm excited about being my parents' daughter.
That's everything.
That's everything.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So how did you, so I understand that you are continuing some of the work that your parents did, but tell me, how did you fall in love with the arts?
Yeah, so I chartered our nonprofit in Atlanta in September of 1993.
Okay.
And I was singing in the church choir, and the music director said, I want you to be over the Christmas gathering this year. And I said, well, what do you expect me to do, write a play? He said, that's a good idea.
Wow.
So I wrote this little skit. I wrote this one-act skit, used some folks from the church, and it went over so well. Friend said, you need to write the second half. Sure enough, wrote the second half of that one-act play. 18 months later, we were on tour with this little play that I wrote for our church choir.
Oh, wow.
And I was completely bit by the bug. The other thing that happened during that time was I saw Diana Ross in The Wiz, and that changed my life. Oh, my God, to see that beautiful black woman, in that space, it was transformative for me.
Really?
Yeah, and of course, when I moved to Dallas, when I was in Atlanta, I was selling broadcast advertising. So theater was very much a hobby, but when I moved to Dallas, I wanted to give it a shot full time.
Okay.
And of course, when the building that we occupy now was donated to us, that changed everything. So I had to take off an artist hat and put on a business hat, and I hadn't been able to take it off since. So it's been a ride, and that was 32 years later.
Wow.
Yeah, that was 32 years ago.
The theater, Bishop Arts Theater, is such a staple in the Oak Cliff community.
Yeah.
And you have so many different programs that you've had for a long time. Can we talk about kind of
How it started?
Yes, how it started and where it is now.
Yeah, so when the building was renovated, we held focus group meetings, and we asked them, what are we doing that you would like to see us do more of? And this is the community, the neighborhood. And what we learned was that parents wanted somewhere for the kids to be during the after-school hours. Artists wanted somewhere to hone their craft. And the neighborhood, particularly that Kessler Park neighborhood, wanted a jazz series. They wanted jazz concerts. So that's how our jazz series came about. That's how our new play competition came about. That's now morphed into a band books festival. And that's how our summer camp and after-school programs came about, because we were intentional. We were active listeners, and we were intentional about making sure that, that we were connected with community. And honestly, Keandra, I say that the theater has survived 9/11, the 2008 economic downturn, and a global pandemic.
Wow.
And the only reason why I think that has happened is because we have been connected with community in really meaningful ways.
I agree with that. I'm going to tell you something that's, most people know I have ADHD and I can't hardly, so I'm going somewhere else.
Actually. Me too.
Yes. Okay, good. So maybe we can
we're kindred spirits.
We can see, you can say it. Do you know I used to impersonate you in the mirror? You are, I do.
Are you serious?
I'm so serious, because as a black woman aspiring to be like you, and you're just so poised and well spoken, and when I met you, I was like, wow, like I want to be like you.
Keandra, that means I'm telling you, I see what you have done at this chamber online, and I'm telling you, are doing it. You are
Thank
it.
you. I don't know about that.
No, I'm so proud of you, but I think it's important. I used to downplay that, right? I used to downplay or maybe I would say I wasn't really connected with how particularly other black women and black girls are seeing me. It just went over my head until one of our summer camp students came back and said, it was like she was meeting Beyonce, and she was like, oh my God, there she is. And I'm like, but she was so excited to come back, meet me, and I feel like representation is so incredibly important. It is so important for us to see other Black women in leadership positions.
Yes, because when I got to the chamber in '07, this was very much a white organization.
I remember.
And so I didn't
remember.
see. You were one of the first that I saw in this community, and you are just poised and well-spoken and educated, and I was like, that's the woman I want to be like. I want to be like her. And so when I came to the theater and I tried out for something that you had, I was like, oh no. I was devastated because I couldn't be like Teresa in that moment. But yes, I would practice in the mirror trying to speak.
Honey, you
like
have accomplished all of that and more. You really have, Keandra. I mean, what you've done with this chamber is incredible.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of what you've done.
Thank you. But this is not about me.
I understand. I hear that and I receive it.
Keep doing that.
Thank you for saying that.
Who you are, because not only me, my daughter looks up to you and how you present and how just who you are.
That's so nice of you.
And so I appreciate your being a part of our Oak Cliff.
Yeah.
I really do. And I know that I do that. Sometimes
that's
you gotta
okay.
reel
Yes,
me in.
I understand. But I think this is the conversation, because I mean, being in a leadership position for people who look like me and you is very daunting, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't take it lightly when I hear and see other women who are, who's aspiring to step into this role. So I really commend you. Thank you so much for saying that.
No,
it means a lot. I know all the things that happens behind the scenes to make sure that we're seen, felt, and heard.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
It's a labor of love.
It really has to be.
Yep.
But you're doing it
seemingly
effortlessly. you know. So, but thank you so much for that. So talk to me, if you would, about some of those maybe challenges.
Yeah. So in 2008, when we finished the renovations for the building, two things were happening. And I mentioned the 2008 economic downturn, but the other thing that was happening in Dallas was the Dallas Arts District was being built. So all of the attention and the resources was being directed to that area. I remember several philanthropic organizations who were courting us, and saying, okay, well, once you break ground, we'll consider a gift. We broke ground, went back to them and said, okay, well, once you complete the renovations, once you get to the end, right, then we'll maybe buy donate or make a gift for the sound and lighting and, and all of that equipment. And so we got there, and then they said, well, we're supporting the Dallas Arts District. Oh my God, that was such a huge blow.
Yeah.
Because we raised $1.2 million in private sector funding, and we were able to get, thank God, a construction loan for about $800,000 to finish the renovations. But still, we didn't, we weren't able, we had hoped to do like a third level. We only did two. So that was a huge, that was a huge blow at that time. It ended up being a blessing in disguise because we were able to, in hindsight, what we were able to do is really build a foundation, not based on philanthropic support. So today, we are able, we were able to diversify our income. And pre-COVID, our earned income percentages hovered around 80%. So we really, we really had to think of, with community, think of what the community need, like ticket sales and renting the facility out. And so, we were able to kind of keep our head above water by connecting with individual donors instead of, corporations and foundations. What's interesting is when COVID happened, after COVID happened, like we were able to pay off our construction loan debt with the federal grant through the Save Our Stages legislation. So we own our, the building free and clear. And when I look back, in 2008, I think, oh my God, it's, that was a blessing in disguise. But going through it, it was kind of traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It was very traumatic. But I think we're all the better because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What makes Bishop Arts Theater, for those folks that don't know, what makes you different?
I think what makes us different is the fact that we are active listeners and we've connected with the community. I think that's our superpower. I'm in meetings every week with artistic directors all across the country, in New York, Chicago, LA, like all over the country. And many of those theaters are in an existential crisis because they don't know who their neighbors are. They were theater can be a very egocentric industry, and I'm just grateful that we had the wherewithal to really tap into the neighborhood, right? Tap into the people who are supporting us, because it's not a transactional relationship. They're folks who genuinely care not only about the well-being of the organization, but about my well-being.
Yeah,
I'm getting ready to take a sabbatical. I'm so excited about that. Yes. So, and there are summer camp parents who are like, okay, what do you need? What do you need while you wait? And you go. And I will also say that one of the things I think that make us unique is our board of directors. Like, we have an incredibly strong board.
Okay.
Who have a genuine interest in my well-being. I've had to cultivate that relationship. That didn't happen automatically.
Sure.
I've had to cultivate that relationship over the years because my board knows if I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it. I deliver on, and on my promises. And also, my board know me to be a level-headed person. So I don't make, irrational decisions. There's a level of trust that we've been able to build. And so, I feel like that's incredibly important as I'm listening to other executive directors and artistic directors around the country who have relationships with their board of directors. I'm the face of the organization, but the reality is there's a lot of people underneath, making that engine work.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's delve into some of your programs. You've mentioned them, but talk to us about what will a student that's going through your summer camp, what kinds of things will they receive? What kind of experiences?
Yeah. So our summer camp is an 8-week program where our students study with master teaching artists in music, art, dance, theater, and life skills.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we have people like Frost Bank will come and do financial literacy workshops because I want to get away from this notion that you have to be a starving artist. No, you don't. You don't have to be a starving artist. You can, if you are, especially people who have good financial management skills, like you can have a very satisfying career in the art. I certainly have, right? I've had to change a lot of hats, but it's made me more of a unicorn, right? And so financial management skills. We also have the Family Place are here this week doing healthy relationships, workshops on healthy relationships. The kids are there Monday through Thursday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Oh,
We
wow.
serve breakfast, lunch, and snacks, and it culminates with the production by the students. So it's a full, I mean, it's an intensive.
Yeah.
It's an intensive, and our students are working with master teaching artists. What I'm excited about this year is our camp has more of a technology focused. So we've incorporated social emotional learning, but also STEAM. It's a STEAM camp. So they're creating beats and a music composition program. When they finish, they'll be able to upload their song on Spotify.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's I'm excited about the camp this year.
Wow.
Yeah. In years past, we've taken their technology away from them, but we learned what we realize is that technology is not going anywhere, right? And in fact, we realized that we had to incorporate the technology in our program. So I'm excited about that.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
So what's the age range?
It's grade school students. So
Grade
6
school.
to 12-year-olds. Is that right? Yeah. 6 to 12-year-olds, first through sixth graders.
Okay. That 7 to 5 is huge.
It
7 to
is.
8. Wow.
Yeah, it is. Which is why we have to have a 3-day weekend. We're closed on Fridays.
Good for you. I most certainly I realize the older I get, the less I can really do the children. I can't really.
It takes a special person.
Well, it does.
It takes a special person.
So
yeah.
thank you for your service.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, and I will just say that we have some incredible teaching artists. Our summer theater camp director this year is an incredible young man from the community, Justin Kavanaugh. And so Justin has been very helpful, along with the other teaching artists.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Can we talk about for a moment the cancellation of the NEA grants?
Yes.
How has that impacted things?
I mentioned that we have diversified. We've intentionally diversified our income, our revenue stream. But we were the recipient of a $15,000 National Endowment for the Arts grant for the world premiere of a show that we did called A Dallas Hedda. And it was written by Frankie Gonzalez, our playwright in residence. We just staged that play in the early part of this month, in May. Yeah. And we wrote a grant, an NEA grant. Was told that the grant would be awarded, and then on May 2nd received the news, like many other theater companies across the country, that that grant was being withdrawn. So that was a deficit in that line item, and I'm excited to say that many donors we were able to offset that that grant by receiving some donations from the community. But I think the larger lesson for the American theater is that we cannot depend on federal grants, right? So we've got to find a way to really sustain our organizations without, I think particularly in this moment, without putting all our eggs in one basket. And again, we knew when we renovated the theater that could not happen. So I'm just really, my heart goes out to so many of our colleagues, because it could have been a game changer, and it is a game changer for, a lot of organizations. Fortunately for us, again, we were able to, community was able to come to our rescue. I will say, I do want to also plug, I don't think this is going to air before this event happens, but on Thursday, May 29th, we are partnering with Zoe Communications to have a community conversation about the state of the arts in North Texas. We'll have some incredible panelists, including Chris Heinbach with the AT&T Performing Arts Center. We'll also have Will Evans with Deep Vellum on the panel. Mac from Teatro Dallas is going to be on the panel as well. Stormy Demerson, Kimberlane Banks from the Communities Foundation of Texas. So we're really, talking about how do we get beyond this moment that we're in.
Yeah. And give us again the date.
May 29th, Thursday, May 29th at the Bishop Arts Theater at 7:30.
7:30.
Yeah.
How do we need to register?
Yes. Visit our website, go on our website at bishopartstheater.org.
bishopartstheater.org.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make sure that we get that information
Thank
out
you.
there as
Thank
well.
you.
Stormy is a friend of mine.
Is she?
She is a great friend of mine.
That's great. What about Felicia Benton?
I've known her.
Yeah.
She did some work with the chamber many years ago with Zoe Communications. But Stormy and I, that's one of my aces right there.
Stormy is an artivist. I call her an artivist because she's an artist and activist.
Okay.
Right. And she was one of the people actually who reached out to me and said, listen, if there's anything you need from me, let me know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, actually, I need you to be on this panel.
Yeah. I love that.
So, yeah, we'll get a chance to hear from Stormy because, as you know, she's such an accomplished artist and, an actress. So, yeah, I'm excited about that.
So, Teresa, maybe this is more personal than anything else. You have been running a very, very long time and running very hard for this community. You really, really have.
Yeah.
What are some things that you do to take care of you?
That's a great question because, Keandra, this sabbatical, we have been planning this sabbatical with the board members for about 5 years now when COVID happened. And I told them, I said, listen, I can't continue, to go 100 miles an hour. And so we started having some really honest conversations and hard conversations about moving to a shared leadership model, which is great. I'm so excited about that. And also making sure that I get the rest that I need. Yeah. I'm telling you, I am so incredibly blessed to have the board that I have because they see, and they see what's happening in the American theater around the country, and yeah, I'm lucky. I'm very blessed to have people who care, have a genuine interest in my well-being. So the sabbatical is one thing that I'm doing. Yes. And then the second thing that I'm doing is moving, like I said, we're structurally, we're moving to a shared leadership model. And that looks different for every organization. So whether that's bringing on somebody on staff or having, kind of a human resources committee, excuse me, to help with the with some of the HR concerns that we have.
So I have watched you and wondered if you tire at all.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
You do. Seemingly not.
No, I do. I do. Yeah, and you know what, Keandra, I do things like take a sabbatical from social media.
Good for you.
That helps.
Yes.
I have a very strong prayer life.
Yes.
That helps. Okay. Yeah. I have a tribe of folks that support me, and I go to therapy. Yes. That's and
a lot of times in these spaces and places, we don't have an outlet.
I know.
And so that's a thing that I like to touch on here.
Yeah.
Because it is very lonely being in these spaces.
Oh my gosh.
You're surrounded by people, but those people don't quite understand what you're going through.
That's right.
So therapy is a must.
It is.
Mine is underpaid.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Exactly.
What other kinds of things do you enjoy doing?
I love traveling.
Okay.
Yeah. So anytime I can get to New York, it's a business trip, but it's also, I love the energy of the city. I love it doesn't feel like work.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to get to New York as much as possible. And I do. I love traveling. I love spending time with family. I'm going to spend, my parents are older, and so I get a chance next week to celebrate my mom's birthday, so I'm excited about that.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice.
I'm going to
That's
take them
nice.
to Florida.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice. What is one thing that most people would be shocked to find out about you?
Oh, wow. I don't know. Maybe, in my former life, like I directed a choir. I
I could see that.
yeah, I directed a choir. I have, I used to sing a lot. I don't know.
I asked that question to one of our council member, or our one of the gentlemen that is running for council, and he told me about his love for guns. And so I was like, that's really
Wow. Yeah.
surprising to me. I never would have guessed that.
Yeah,
I never would
I can imagine you get a lot of wow stories. I don't know if there's something surprising that people don't know about me. I'm a very private person.
You almost have to be.
Yeah, I'm a very private person. I don't know.
You almost have to be, or that's been my experience, because when I'm not private, then there's a consequence.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
So
there's a consequence.
there is a consequence. So if there is any advice that you could give to someone that's looking up to you, and there are many, what kind of advice would you give them to help them to achieve just a portion of some of the things you've achieved?
Yeah, I think it's important to have a community of people that, and it can, it's not going to be, a handful of folks, honestly. But I do think it's important. You mentioned something that it's really lonely. This work is really lonely, can get isolating. And so I would just say it's incredibly important to have people in your corner who have your well-being. Who want the best for you. I mean, really, no, you just need folks that you can depend on. In ways that are not in the limelight. And anybody that's on your payroll is not somebody that.
Learn that one the hard way.
You don't. Anybody on your payroll is not that person.
It's
somebody.
I had to learn the hard way.
Me too.
Did you?
Kendra, me too.
I'm like,
these are, yes. Yeah. That's somebody who don't want anything from you, who don't need anything from you. Right.
Yeah. That's great advice. I really wish somebody would sit us down when we start these roles and just say, okay,
I know
the do's and don'ts.
Yes.
And that's a part of it.
Yeah.
That's a huge.
It is. Yeah, it is. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
find your tribe.
Yeah, and it would be great to find them early.
Yeah, it would be great to find them early.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've also kind of learned that my tribe are not business associates. They're folks that I met before all of this.
Yeah. It's important.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Not to say that, you can't, but it's so hard to have that spirit of discernment when you're in this position also.
That too, I'm learning the hard way.
We all are.
Teresa.
It's a work in progress.
It really is.
Seriously.
It is.
Yeah.
And it is. How do you get up and maybe I just need some Teresa therapy, but how do you get up and keep the smile on your face after you've
I know, Keandra, I know. But at the end of the day, I really love the work that I'm doing, right? I have to, all the HR, aside from all the HR stuff, like I really love seeing those kids in the theater. I love seeing, you know, patients with stage 3 dementia singing with our artists. You know what I mean? Like it's heart work.
Yeah.
Right? It's heart work.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I forgot to ask was about your jazz series.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the amazing artists.
Yeah. So our jazz series started 15 years ago when we renovated the theater. I think we're in our 15th year now. And our jazz series, there was a time when we were giving away tickets because we had these world-class jazz artists like Peter White and Huge Groove and Jonathan Butler and Kirk Whalum and all these world-renowned jazz musicians on our stage. And as the word got out, like we have been selling out our jazz concerts like months in advance. So much so that we're partnering with people like the Dallas Zoo, right?
That's great.
We were just so elated and grateful to get the call from the Dallas Zoo during COVID because, of course, we couldn't hold our jazz concerts inside.
Right.
And they suggested that we use, the Grove at the Dallas Zoo for kind of a jazz under the stars. Oh, my God, in our jazz area. Our jazz clients loved it.
Really?
Our jazz season subscribers loved it. And so we've been doing that ever since, I think for the past 4 or 5 years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Teresa, you are just doing amazing work.
Oh, thank you.
You are doing such amazing work. And I'm so honored just to know you.
That's so sweet of you.
I'm so very honored.
I feel the same way, Keandra. I really do. I'm serious. I really do.
Thank you.
I'm fangirling.
Me too. Always have. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome. I'm happy to do it. Happy to be here.
I just keep doing what you're doing, but enjoy your sabbatical.
Yes, I will. I promise you that. Yeah, and I'm hoping that I can stay for the entire 3 months. I may be back sooner. I don't know.
Please take your 3 months.
Yeah.
Please take your 3 months.
I'm trying to put things in place so that I think I'll be okay.
Yeah, and let us know how it goes.
Thank you. I will.
Let us know how it goes. I'm your host, Keandra Jones, and again, thank you for watching another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. We'll see you next time.